Spartan Nation, what's going on? This is Cam, the super cool Spartan here. Cue the woodshed, the bye week edition. Got the team here. Got Quaffo, the super connected Spartan. My brother Brian, the super mad Spartan. He had nothing to be mad about this weekend since it was the bye week. So it was a pretty chill weekend, you know. I don't know about you guys, but I got a chance to zone in or zone out, whatever, on some other college football games. Penn State, USC, Ohio State, Oregon. Even caught a little bit of Kansas State, Colorado.
That's late,
So,
man. That's late.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
yeah. I only
That
watched
Colorado game, I couldn't make it.
I only watched about maybe till halfway through the second quarter till I was done.
Right.
So, but yeah, it was a good weekend to watch some of the other teams across the country do their thing while our Spartan dogs was getting their chillaxing on or watching film or.
Nah, I'm sure they was in the lab trying to figure it out.
A lot of film, you know.
How to wrap up tackles and
Oh my God.
run blocking, all a gambit of things that can be worked on during that the bye week.
Yes. So let's just get right into it, gentlemen. You know, here we are at the halfway point of the season. MSU, 3 wins, 3 losses. Started out hot, 3 up, then 3 down. So what are you guys' thoughts? What are your overall thoughts of the season up to this point? Let you kick it up, Mr. Super Connected Spartan.
Yeah, I mean, boy, oh boy, if we had that Boston College win in our belt, 4-2 is a lot better than 3-3 at this point in the season.
Yes, exactly.
Yes,
But
indeed.
you take what you get. It's been a very, in some ways, positive and uplifting season in the terms of, I think we have a quarterback. We talk about the roller coaster and the fun ride that is Aiden Childs, but we have a quarterback. We have a receiving core. We have some pretty good linebackers. We have a great secondary. We have a very competitive football team, which is all you can really ask for in year one of a rebuild like this was.
Right.
So we'll get into it later, but I gave grades for each side of the ball. But I'm happy where they're at. Obviously, this weekend is homecoming. A lot of people will be back on campus. Shout out to all the Spartans coming home. They got a chance against Iowa, which we'll get into as well. But my opening thoughts are basically 3-3 is great in the sense that it's not 0-6. It's not 2-5, right? But work to be done. I know the staff I know it's a little bit different show than we normally do. Staff's been in the lab. Some been recruiting, some people on the road recruiting, but they really, and I think Coach Smith alluded to this in the presser, went back and watched all the games, and I think the biggest thing, one of the big things that you'll probably see starting this weekend is how to get that run game going, because I think that would unlock so much on offense if they could run the ball. But all in all, 3-3. Again, the Boston College one is the only one where I was like, man, if only they had people healthy, like that would have been nice, get that much closer to bowl eligibility. I still think the team is going to make a bowl. I still think it's going to be, if this is a stock, this is time to buy low, because Michigan State football is on the rise.
And what say you, Mr. Super Mad Spartan? Your thoughts on the season so far?
Pretty much in line with Quaffle. Like, beginning of the year, if you said, hey, Michigan State will be 3-3 when they get to this point, people would be like, okay, that means we're not great. We're not completely terrible. We're okay. And I think with the trajectory of the team, it's how it feels different from last year, right? The results might not be more wins per se right now, but the team looks like a more functioning football team. We're not seeing some of the same mistakes over and over and over again, except for turnovers. But other than that, his team is a work in progress. And for the first year, I'm okay with what I'm seeing. And you talk about the roller coaster as Aiden Childs. I really do think this squad has it in them. If they play up, I think they could probably upset they could upset a team on the schedule that they could beat. I think that there's no one on this schedule left that they can't at least compete with. We've already played, like two top five teams,
The creme de la
and they look,
creme.
and we know what it looks like at the top of the mountain, and we know, okay, what we have to do to get back up there, because Ohio State and Oregon are clearly the top class of the Big Ten, and that game last Saturday it was good to see high level football, and you saw the minor mistakes that were made that cost Ohio State the game. The state has to see that, hey, we can't look at those guys. They make those mistakes, they still lose. So we can't make any mistakes to have a chance against them. So hopefully this coaching staff is in there, like I said, in the lab, going over it, trying to improve things. I have faith in this coaching staff because we've seen them throughout the year make adjustments. So I'm happy right now. Well, I would like to be undefeated, of course, but I am okay with where we're at right now.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to follow in line with you guys. I think at this point, MSU is respectable, 3-3. To your point, Quaffle, definitely would have been nice to have that Boston College game. That was a very winnable game. Even though we had a lot of our star offensive players out, that game was still ours for the taking and just didn't drop that way. That's what happens sometimes, especially in a team, in our position. But like you guys, 3-3, like I said, Quapo is better than the alternative, better than 2-4, 0-6, 1-5. UCLA, for example, they're 1-5. Purdue, God bless them. I don't know if they even won a game, but we are not in those positions. I'm not disrespecting those teams at all, but yeah, we're not in that position. And coming down the stretch, to your guys' point, I think that is a pretty manageable schedule, from starting with Iowa, going all the way to the end. I think our last game of the season is against Rutgers or Indiana, one of those two teams.
Rutgers.
And it's funny that once the season started, all the usual hype train stuff about all these different teams. Rutgers was one of those teams, since they don't have any of the big dogs on their schedule. Oh, they can go to the playoff. They've kind of come down to earth now a little bit.
I don't know if anybody was saying the Rutgers go to the playoffs, though.
Oh no, I'm telling you, Brian, there were some talking heads.
No.
They were talking that noise. They was like, because they don't have Michigan, they don't have Ohio State, no Penn State, no Oregon. So a lot of people was talking
out of Wisconsin,
hey,
they got their teeth kicked in.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying to them. They kind of come down to earth a little bit. So,
like 52-7, something crazy like that. Like, they got work.
They're still chopping. They're still chopping.
They can have that. They can copyright chop it. They can have it back.
That goes back.
There you go. It's all yours.
But at any rate, yeah, I feel too that despite the 500 record that we have, that this team definitely looks like a very functional team, very competitive. I like what I'm seeing from the defense, especially. I'll definitely say too, special teams, 100%, turnaround from last year, maybe the last couple years.
No formation penalty on the punt?
Right, no formation penalties.
Illegal formation on the punt?
Right, illegal formations, none of that. We have a very functional special teams unit. So I'm quite pleased with what we have right now. And like what you guys saying, I definitely believe in Aiden Childs. He has the potential to be a very good quarterback. I think it was a week ago or a couple weeks ago, when Nick Saban had co-signed on that. I think that very much helped Aiden's stock. So overall, thumbs up. So I'm in line with you guys here. So moving right along, what do you guys think of the second half of the season? Do you think that MSU can, to your point, Brian, can Quaffo pull some upset victories? You guys think that? Well, I don't know. Because I think at the beginning of the season, I think most of us said 7-5, maybe 8-4. What are you
Six and
guys'
six. I was
thoughts?
6 and 6, 7 and 5. I think there's too many swing games. Like, all right, look at the remaining schedule. I'm kind of just jumping into it. You got Iowa, Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, Purdue, and Rutgers. So 6 games left. And we probably won't be favored
In any of them?
except no, Purdue. I think we'll be favored versus Purdue. It's at home.
Oh,
Purdue
okay.
is they're
Okay.
having their
Well, yeah.
struggles.
Yeah. We'll be
Wink, wink. I
favored
hope
in
that the
that
coaching staff is keeping an appraisal of Purdue's roster
game.
You mentioned that
because
last
we
week
could
too.
always use some help in the green and white.
NIL.
So I don't know. I don't know if that
NIL.
coaching staff is gonna make it by the end of the year. So yeah,
Tough
with that, but
business.
I think these are all winnable, losable games. It just depends on which Michigan State team is going to show. If we can stop turning the ball over, I think that lends its way to keeping it close and winning some of these games. Because when we played Maryland turnovers, we beat them. Luckily, it kind of bounced our way. We had the exact opposite versus Boston College. Too many turnovers. We couldn't put them away. We had our chances. That's the game I kind of really stings because of course, I think we're going to still make a bowl game. We're going to win 6 games, but having, 4 victories right now and only have to win 2 out of the last 6 is a lot easier than having to win, 3 of the last 6. Because, we're playing 3 more ranked teams. I wonder what Michigan State's strength of schedule is like now, adjusted strength of schedule, because it's a gauntlet.
Yeah. It's been a tough road. I would say I'm there with you. I was probably 8-4 at the beginning of the season. I think I'm coming back to earth. Probably 7-5 is where this team lands. I think this weekend will be a telltale sign what they can do against a very formidable team. Don't let anybody fool you. This is a different Iowa team, even though they haven't had maybe as much success, but they're really formidable. Obviously, the big one the next week in Ann Arbor. You got Indiana, who's tough, but not unbeatable, but they're a tough team. And then I think really where MSU makes hay is Illinois, Purdue, Rutgers. You take those 3, at least we're bowling, and then you got to pull off basically what would amount to be an upset against either Iowa, Michigan, or Indiana. So I think I can see a 4-2 finish, which would be great for me. I mean, 7-5. And again, if we go back to Boston College, I don't want to harp on it, but if we go back to that, we'd be right at where I thought they'd be 8-4. So I'll take 7-5 all day long with the first year of a rebuild. Recruiting class looks solid coming in. It's good. The one thing I wanted to touch on real quick is just the grades for the first half before we get in the second half. So on the offense, because of turnovers and the lack of the run game, I gave the offense in totality a C. There's different pieces of it that are higher ranked or other, but average it's about a C. Defense, I gave them a B, maybe B minus, and then really the B minus comes in because the last two, again, a superior opponents with Oregon and Ohio State, but like you were there with them, and then you just kind of, we just ran out of gas, right? We're on the side of the road, run out of gas. So I gave kind of like a B. I'll go with a B. I'll be nicer there. Special teams, like we said, B plus, maybe even an A on special teams has been really good and solid. And then the coaching staff, like we talk about every week, not just because the connected Spartan knows some, it's actually, it's just the truth. B plus, A minus. I mean, it really hasn't been coaching issues this year that's cost us. It's turnovers, right? It's turnovers, the lack of a run game. They've schemed it up right. I mean, they look functional, like we said. They look creative. They just are not able to run the ball. But defensively, they're really playing at a high level. They're the right scheme. And so I thought, to be fair, it's probably an A. It's actually probably closer to A minus defensively, coaching wise, because They've got the kids in the right place. You know, it's just about the execution, but the kids are in the right place. They're not messing around. They're putting in the requisite work. Again, this past week, they were watching film. They were, they watch every single game, like a lot. And so, and again, the focus is going to be on the run game this coming Saturday. So, yes, I think my grades across the board, and overall as a team, I say it's probably a B- right now as a team. As I think is a fair grade in totality.
The greatest. So it's realistic. Speaking of the coaching staff, one thing I've noticed is, or haven't noticed in games, which is a good thing, is you don't sit there and say, "What are they doing right here?"
No.
Sometimes the last few seasons, you look up and say, "What are we doing? What are we trying to do?
Right.
Why is it 3rd and 3 and we're lined up 10 yards off a receiver, we're giving them a first down?" It's just, and I'm not a X and O's football guy. I understand that you could get, but that befuddled me so much. Like, you already given them the first down. If he just takes 2 steps, unless you're like the fastest person in the world and get there, you're giving them a first down every time. So when I look at the game to my layman's eyes, it looks more smooth. It looks like a more established, put together ship. And the execution is not there, but from a scheme wise, it doesn't look like they're doing anything crazy.
Right.
Play calling, offense, defense. There's some play calls I would think they'd have back, but play calls singular, like they're not that many. There's not too many times I go into a game and say, "Hey, trying to do on offense."
Right.
Because for years, it looked like we was just, throwing stuff against the wall and see if it sticked. And then like, all right, we'll keep running the same plays that didn't work. And another point I want to make with the coaching staff is adjustments, especially on defense. One of the things, last few seasons, be like, "Hey, this isn't working, but you guys are still doing it. You're not going to try anything a little bit, different." With Joe Rossi, you can see after a team kind of gets through their scripted plays and they do something that's working for a little bit, it doesn't work for the rest of the half. It's maybe 1 or 2 more series. They've adjusted, and now that team has to adjust their game plan.
Right.
At least make it work.
Right.
And I'm glad to see that with George, because, you talked about USC earlier. I watched that game. They should have beat Penn State.
Yeah, I watched it too. Yeah.
And that's the 3rd time I've watched USC this year, and I came away with the same feeling. Their coaching staff was very slow to adjust, and it cost them versus Penn State, and it cost them versus Michigan. I'm watching this USC game, and number 44 from Penn State had like 20 catches. Like, how do you let somebody have 20 catches a whole game, and say, "You know what? If you're going to beat us, it's not going to be him."
Mm-hmm.
There's 10 other players on the field. So at least for our coaching staff, we know that, hey, they're going to make adjustments. It is not going to be something like that.
Yeah, USC is 3-3 like us. But I think overall we look better than USC because, to your point, Brian, our coaching staff likes to make adjustments. I don't know what Lincoln Riley does, but
collects a check, has a big house. He collects a check. There's not much.
He ain't got no Heisman quarterback this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And even when he had him, at least that last year wasn't looking that hot. But hey, can we say?
So, what we can say is the Big Ten is no joke. Those teams out there thought they were going to come in here and act the fool. It's like, it's one thing to play 1 or 2 tough opponents. You got every week tough opponents, except for, like our bottom feeders like Purdue or this type of thing, or maybe even Northwestern to give you a fight when you go and play them. So
there's no happened to Maryland.
Right. So like, 12 teams.
Boom, boom, boom.
They thought we were playing around here. We're not playing over here. Like, this is big boy. We haven't even got to the cold part of the season yet. Wait till you gotta come and play with these teams in November.
I know USC gotta come in the middle of November to they are playing Minnesota, but like Wisconsin or
right. Thought we were playing. I know the West Coast is supposed to be the best coast, but we play some football here, folks. I don't know what you're going out
Big
there.
boy football. Put them pants on, them pads.
Right.
So, yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I was going to say too, Quapo. I know I mentioned this before. If you would have joined our podcast last year, you would have seen, boy, Brian's like super duper mad Spartan because I mean he had steam blowing out of his nose, out of his ears like an angry bull on the Looney Tunes cartoons. He was
Maybe
woo.
maybe I'll do some instant reaction stuff because I know that everybody I know they'll see like me being mad and going off. It's like I'm not the same person like when I'm watching the games. I'm on here like cool, calm, and collected, rational human being. I'm a fanatic. I get mad even if we're winning. I say, "Oh, what is he doing? I can't believe this!"
Mm-hmm.
Screaming and yelling, but not at people, but just at the
At least,
games, being
at
hyped.
least you
I'm
admit it.
engaged.
Yeah, at least you
Yes,
admit it. You know what I'm saying?
yes,
So I know
super
that
fanatic.
one of our fans, one of our watchers, was saying that we should be somewhere together, watch a game, and tape the reactions, like you said, the real time reactions, because I think we all have a different persona when the game is on. So that
Oh
might be
yeah.
some for future
I have a
watchers. That might be
TikTok in
something.
last season. There's someone that's still there. I believe the Washington game was
Ooh, yeah, we watched that game together. Ooh,
yep. And
boy.
that bottle watched us quick. It
Yeah,
went through quick. That
yeah,
killed that fifth in halftime.
yeah, yeah. It was pretty brutal.
It was it was the culmination of all right, here we go again. We just seen Washington last year. How are we gonna stack up against them? We look worse.
I was there
So
for that
I
game.
just
Ooh,
and then the previous coach said that's what the time all that stuff comes out about him, and then our team goes out there and just
West the
disarray. So
bed and West the bed for the rest of the season. Pretty
they
much.
tried hard.
mhm.
We have a whole
Yeah,
new team now, 60 new people. We have a whole new squad.
right.
Mhm.
And I was gonna say as well in regards to the rest of the season. I know that's what we were originally talking about. I'm with you, Quafo. I think 7-5. 6-6 is the lowest, ceiling. But I can see 7-5, with the remaining teams. Iowa definitely is going to be a tough game. Of course, Michigan's always going to be a tough game. Rivalry games are always tough, and records don't matter in rivalry games. So, and as far as for the rest of the season, yeah, I think for the most part, the majority of those remaining games would be, underdogs with the exception of Purdue. But I think we're going to sneak up on some teams, that we have for the remaining of the season. So I can see 7-5 going to a decent bowl game, as year one. And I think overall too, year one kind of mimics, the first year of the previous coaches that took over the program. I think Mark D'Antoni, when he took over, for John L., I think he went 7-5. Mel Tucker, his first year wasn't that good because he had coming through COVID,
Oh, big year week.
but he at least, he beat Michigan that his first year, and he beat Northwestern because even though it was a COVID year, Northwestern I think was like ranked number 8 at the time, surprisingly. But so I think it just falls in line, first year coach taking over a program, trying to put your own imprint on it. That it, it's right there. So
Mhm. You want to get this Iowa game?
yes, let's talk about those mighty Hawkeyes that whooped up on Washington last week, which it's so funny because the week before that, they get their revenge on Michigan at home.
They
Then
were
they travel
scared.
across they travel across the country. I guess they were all high on that beating Michigan and getting whooped at Iowa. So I mean, they
Well, they
got
don't know
like
about Kinnick
whooped.
like we know. Kinnick Stadium is not an
Woo,
easy place
yeah,
to play.
yeah, that's a
And
very
people
hard
outside the
place to
Big
play.
Ten do not know about Iowa. Iowa's a team that you always have to come prepared to play a physical, tough football game. And I expect nothing less coming up this weekend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. Usually MSU Iowa games are pretty tough,
Mhm.
hard hitting.
You know what's funny?
with the exception maybe last year's game. But
we should have beat them last year.
Yeah.
If we don't, I think it was a kick return for a touchdown.
Yep, and turnovers.
Turnover, yep. Kim had a turnover, yeah. So Iowa's going to be tough. If they're in the lab, they need to pull out some big plays. We need some quick scoring plays. Iowa feasts off turnovers. Their defense is always going to be very good. They play a sticky zone. It's going to bait Aiden Childs into wanting to throw these passes. So I assume we're going to have at least one interception. It's just Iowa makes it very difficult. We have a young QB. I know that they're in the lab studying. I hope we don't have a turnover because Iowa's offense is still not good. You know, we've seen all of Cade McNamara can do, and Iowa's never going to be known for their offense. So we can't help them out by giving them turnovers. But I feel like our offense can be explosive, so we have some plays that need to be made there. It's going to be tough because if you can't run the ball, it's going to be more pressure on Aiden Child. So, Quaffle, hopefully, like you said, they're in there and they figured out something in the run game.
I mean, it is what it is,
pressure
right?
off our quarterback.
Yeah, it is what it is. Like, the personnel is a personnel. It's just about like what we can do to scheme it. The only difference I have from you on the game is Caleb Johnson at running back for Iowa is probably one of the 5 best running backs in the country. And so we are usually geared up to stop the run, but we got to bring all sorts of energy, effort, what have you, to stop this kid because this kid is a beast. I mean, he was running through even Ohio State, man, when they played them. And so he is going to be he's a key to their offense. Like you said, Cade McNamara, that dude should probably be selling insurance at this point, man. Like he's like, bro, like, come on, give up the. No offense, Cade, if you're watching, look, bro, we all gotta hang up the cleat.
Should be selling insurance.
But you should be doing progressive right now, man. That being said, Iowa is going to be a very formidable opponent. We better be able to stop the run. We better bring our hard hats, and we better figure out a way to stop young Caleb Johnson, who was not selling insurance. He will be playing in the NFL. He is a very good running back. And then, of course, the defense goes without saying, fierce, physical, fast, all those things. And different Iowa team than we saw last year, but really they're going to come into Spartan Stadium looking to spoil everybody's party for homecoming.
What's K's PFF?
I could look it up real quick. But that'll just make us laugh more. That'll make us laugh more if we look up his PFF.
They're not. They're better in offense than they were last year.
I mean, what you got Caleb Johnson. You also have Luke Lachey, right? The son of the great offensive lineman Jim Lachey. So like he's a beast. But how you get him the ball, right? Like how do you?
Yes.
I mean, Cade McNamara again, bro. My deductible is only $1,000. Like that's that's where he's at. I apologize to my family. It just came out. I didn't know what to do there.
I'm interested to see if our defense is going to be able to stop the run again.
Yeah.
Because versus Ohio State, they kind of were okay for a second. Yep. They had some big plays, but versus Oregon, no, they were just getting moved.
Yeah.
That O-line,
left,
boy.
Right, forward, back. They were controlling our defensive line.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm just coming up with some excuses. It was a short week. They just had a physical game versus Ohio State. Maybe they weren't up to snuff as good as they could have been. But I also just think Oregon has a great offensive line. They're really good.
An amazing.
Can our defensive line match up with of Iowa and make Cade McNamara have to beat us? Because if our defense is not going to stop the run, we all need to worry about Cade and deductibles and insurance and giving us quotes. Because his running back will be scoring touchdowns on us.
Right.
Oh boy, that's funny. Hey,
gotta have a little. We got a little fun with it. We're 3-3, man. We gotta have fun.
Right.
Shout out to my Iowa people. I work at a company that has in my day job that has some Iowa representatives. So I'm gonna be talking real crazy the rest of the week at work, because like that's what we need to do. We need to fire up. It's homecoming weekend. We need to fire up.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that one advantage that we have is that we had the bye week, so that was extra time. I'm guessing from a coaching staff perspective that with extra time you get, you can dedicate that for more planning against your next opponent. So, I'm guessing that Jonathan Smith will have some things up his sleeve, to make Iowa think in terms of play calls and stuff, and hopefully, it'll result in a win. Like we're saying, Iowa's tough. They've always played MSU tough. I think from their records against each other, I think they're about like tied. And they're, the times they played against each other, I think they're like, MSU's won, I don't know how many games, but I think they're like equal. So historically, these programs, they've gone toe-to-toe with each other when they played. So I expect this game to be, no different. It's going to be a tough game, another night game. Interesting that MSU's had a lot of night games this year. I mean, next week we get Michigan's a night. I was going to say that it's a night game too. And last year they had, a lot of night games. Considering
Purdue's a night game.
So.
It's at 8 p.m. They already have that set up.
Are you serious?
Yes. Look at it right now. It's already set up 8 p.m. for Purdue. So I think we played a 12 p.m. game this year, have we?
The only one we played 12. Well,
was Prairie? No, Prairie was 3:30.
Prairie was 3:30. Man, I think you're right. I don't think we had a noon game this year.
It's either Friday night
3:30 night games.
Yeah. First game was Friday night. Then Maryland was, I think, a 3:30 game. Prairie View was a 3:30 game.
3:30.
BC was a night game. Ohio State
night game. Oregon night game.
So
what if you do they try to rotate people who play night games. It seems like we have an inordinate amount this season. But it also speaks to, again, this is what we talk about when people don't understand or they make us same old Spartans. This thing that we're all wearing, this has some brand equity. And so I think networks want to put us on prime time. They know we're going to get audience around the country, around the world. So Michigan State, despite what people might say, has cachet in the sports world. And I mean, that's why they're getting a lot of night games, right? Like, if you're not good, they'll put you at noon. I mean, so it stinks as a fan. I know, like, people traveling and trying to get up here for the game and stuff and not get home till 2 a.m. in the morning on Sunday. But there is a brand equity behind Michigan State football, even with all the crazy stuff that's happened. And so that's why we're seeing a lot of these primetime games. Even when we're bad, we're still on primetime. So.
Right. And to your point, Quafa, I read an article. This was maybe 1 or 2 years, within the last, I'll say 2-3 years, that MSU is one of like the top 20 or 25 programs, that first of all generates revenue in terms of football. And there's some cachet to the green and white. So, kudos to our alma mater, bringing in that bread, bringing in them ratings.
For sure. Not a problem.
These victories.
We just need the victories to
these victories.
To bring in, be a part of the hype train. So, but eventually we'll get there.
Yep.
We will get there. So, I guess we'll just get to our usual MSU fun football fact to stump you guys once again. Well, Brian, you got the one from last week, so
multiple choice.
You got lucky. Yeah, this was another multiple choice too.
Oh, okay.
Here we go.
Stump you guys. So I picked a category I think that gets overlooked when we talk about different stats because, everyone talks about the QB stats with the yardage and, the receivers, with the receiving yards and how many rushes did, such and such get. So this category is about the kickers. It's about the kickers. Those unsung heroes you bring in with like 5 seconds left to make that victory kick. I see Quapo, he's like, what? Why are we talking about kickers? Why kickers, man?
Yeah, why kickers?
Hey, kickers need love too.
What are you, Pat McAfee?
Yeah.
Kickers need love too?
Well, in terms of, the fun football fact. So here's the question, gentlemen. Which kickers have the best field goal percentage of the ones I will let you guys know? There's 3 kickers that I listed here. So which one of these kickers has the best field goal percentage in MSU football history? Is it Matt Coughlin, Brett Swinson, or Michael Geiger?
There's a name on there that has to be on there. It's not on there. Where's Morton Anderson?
Well, I chose more recent
He's like
names.
the all-time leader, ain't he?
Yeah, like where is he at?
Well, this is field goal percentage.
He has to be. I think he's in the Hall of Fame, like in the College Football Hall of Fame. If I'm not mistaken. I don't know, man.
Those percentage. I'm going with you said Swinson?
Yeah, either Brett Swinson, Matt Coughlin, or Michael Geiger.
You go with Brett Swinson.
I'll go Michael Geiger out of that list. I'll go with Geiger.
Well, I have to say that the Super Mad Spartan, 2 in a row for him. The answer is, Brett Swinson, who was at MSU in the late 2000s, 2009 season. This is according to, Google, Spartan Athletics. He has a 78% field goal percentage. And the guy that you mentioned, Quaffo, Michael Geiger, he's number 2 between these 3 kickers. He's at 73.7%. Matt Coughlin was at 73.1%. And Brett Swinson, he's made the most field goals, 70 field goals, and has the most points as a kicker, 368 points.
Yeah, I got to think with Antonio.
Got to be on there percentage-wise, though. That feels like...
Morton's probably the number 1. Like I know that probably.
Yeah.
I chose Swinson because I remember there's a weird thing that happens with Michigan State kickers. Like they start off young, and like I remember Geiger didn't miss a field goal like his first season.
Right.
And then after he kicked that, I think it was like game winner versus Ohio State, he's kind of up and down, up and down.
Right.
And Coughlin did the same thing. He was real good his first year.
Mm-hmm.
Then, amazingly enough, his last year with Mel Tucker, he got hurt. I don't know how he got hurt. He had some type of like leg hip thing.
And he did get hurt. I remember that.
Yeah, he got hurt because we didn't have a kicker, and so that we had that season and we missed those field goals and missed the bowl game because of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Past is a past.
Yeah, we're moving forward.
Yep.
Yeah. We got Jonathan Kim now, who's going to be on that record list.
Yeah.
He missed too many field goals.
Great kicker.
Yeah, he's a great kicker. Kicker. So, yep, that's our fun football fact for this bye week. Quaffle got stumped again, but Brian is 2-0 so far, past couple of weeks.
Multiple choice.
And hey, like I said, we like to educate our audience here for Spartan Nation, and even though, non-Spartan Nation, again, people, when they talk about MSU football history, they just talk about same old Sparty, same old Sparty. Nah, Michigan State has a very rich football history. So
Yes,
we're going to
indeed.
continue to, shed some light on that with these fun football facts. So, well, anything else for the cause here, gentlemen, as we go, into the second half here of the season?
Let's hope we stay injury free as much as possible, and for those coming for homecoming, make sure we make good choices, homecoming people. Good
Yes.
choices. It's gonna be late in
Yes.
the evening. Good choices. If you had too much to drink, just stay at a hotel here locally. Don't be on the road causing chaos. But should be a fun time. Late night again. Well into probably 11:30 midnight, but should be a fun time on the banks of the Red Cedar.
Yes.
And
The
hopefully
banks of the
victory
Red
for
Cedar.
MSU.
That's what we want to see. Victory for them.
Yes. Yes, we need some victories, to make our prediction come true here for the record.
For sure.
Well, that's another episode in the books here of Q the Woodshed. I'm Ken, the super cool Spartan. My brother Brian, the super mad Spartan. And we got Quaffo, the super connected Spartan. One last thing, super connected Spartan. I know you mentioned you had a conversation, I think, with
Oh,
the wide out whisperer, as you call him.
man, yeah, just
Mr.
ran
Courtney
into.
Hawkins.
Yeah, we got to give love. We were talking about coaching staff or whatever. Just was able to see a new nickname, so we're going to use that nickname going forward for the man who's putting receivers in the NFL like gangbusters. That is one Courtney Hawkins, and he is now affectionately known as a wide out whisperer. And the proof is in the pudding with all the success that these guys that have been through his training are having in the National Football League. Jaden Reed, the most recent one to come out and say it, but shout out to Hawk, great guy, great community leader, and great leader of men, and shows what's happening. With what's happening with these guys in the pros, they're ready and prepared and having great careers. So shout out to Hawk, and he's got some more in the chamber, as they say. Some of the guys that are there now, they're going to make an impact at the next level for sure.
Oh, yeah. And if people don't know, Courtney Hawkins played in the NFL himself.
For a lot of years.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think he played about 9-10 years as a receiver himself. So the
Mhm.
man knows what he's doing.
Correct.
So
Correct.
Yes,
shout out
indeed
to
he
Courtney
does.
Hawkins. We got to get him on the show in the off season.
I pull
yes,
the string.
we'll have the super connected Spartan work on that for us.
Pull on the string. Shout out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So once again, Q the Woodshed, and we are out. Go green.
Go white.
All right.
Go white.